Jon with Isthmus Sailboards. Today we're going to talk about mast extensions and mast bases, what the differences are and how they work together, how they attach to the board, and various features of them for how you adjust your extensions, etc. Let's get started. First, let's talk about the mast base. Mast base is what connects your rig to the board. It's going to have a universal joint in the middle. In this case, this is a tendon joint. In other cases, you have a rubber universal joint. This is the most common over the past 40-50 years. They have a rubber joint. And then you have what's called a mechanical joint, which gives you a little easier access for connecting your rig to the board once it's attached to the board. Some schools like this, foiling systems, if you're wind foiling, you'll like to have that system. Mechanicals come in many variety of all plastic fitting with a knuckling system. A combination rubber and plastic. This is going to be more commonly used on inflatable boards. And then the most modern version called a ProFlex universal joint, which takes the tendon and they make it a mechanical functioning. And this is the most popular right now for foiling use. Of the connection types, you have most commonly a 1-bolt system, which is shown here. 1 bolt and a T-nut is what secures it into the mast track or mast box, and a 2-bolt system where you have 2 bolts securing it in place. And usually 2 bolts will have a detachable lower plate and a Allen key and a pin combination. Some people like this. It allows them to leave the mast base plate attached to their board at all times, and when they're ready to sail, you simply connect it together, lock it in place, and you're ready to go. The 2 types of base connections, what you'll connect, what we call the mast extension to the base, are US cup, which has 2 pins. This is the most common system for aftermarket windsurfing for the past 40 years. Plugs into an extension like so, and it's a simple pull the triggers, install and lock in place. So US cup base needs to go with a US extension. And the second, which is becoming more popular, is the Euro pin system, which plugs into a Euro pin mast extension. Euro pins will have 1 trigger push button feature. It's a spring-loaded system, and you basically insert the pin into the extension and it's locked. Some people like this because it's just a single button push and release. We'll come back to bases in just a moment. We'll talk about the mast base extensions. So we have US cup. It's a larger diameter. It comes in two diameters. You would have standard diameter, which fits original mast, windsurfing mast, and you have a skinny extension, which is designed for RDM, the modern RDM mast. So depending on what mast you have will depend on which extension size you get, standard diameter or the RDM skinny extensions. Secondly, US cup will have 2 holes, opposing holes on each side, and a big hollow center. The Euro pin is going to simply have a center hole system for connecting the Euro pin. Large opening, small single hole opening. On the extensions, there's also what's called a fixed extension. Some will just be a fixed height, so you can't adjust any additional length to your mast. whereas most common, this would be a medium extension. Gives you 28 centimeters of an additional length to your mast so you can tension your sail properly. Medium would be the most common sold mast extension length because it fits most modern sails that are designed with particular mast lengths in mind. On the extensions, we have different types of collar adjustment mechanisms, from a single twist system where you kind of twist the plastic. You set the extension collar at the proper setting marking, and we'll set a 16 centimeter. You basically line up and make sure your holes all connect so it's nice and snug, and your collar is now set at 16 centimeters. It is a simple kind of twist. You can twist it with one hand if you want to adjust it. And this is common on the Chinook standard extensions. On the modern Chinook skinnies, they are now using a new pull-out collar adjustment mechanism, which is very slick, an improvement over past designs. This is retrofittable to Chinook extensions made in the past 5-10 years as well, if you want to buy the collar by itself. But simply is a pin outside. You're going to insert, we'll go to number 18 this time, set at that collar, lock it in place, and that latch kind of goes towards the back of the pulley. Another really slick system is Aeron extensions. Air extension has a cam collar, which is very simple to use. It has 2 pins on each side that kind of stick down, and it's a hinge, and you just push on it and adjust to whatever setting you need for mast extension length. So they have a small collar for the RDM extension and a larger collar for the SDM. But a real simple, slick system. You can turn it sideways. It kind of has like an industrial rubber collar on it to kind of hold it back in place. Very nice system from Aeron. For what we call the universal joint, that's the middle connection. It basically comes in, these days, 3 types. You have a tendon style, which would be this middle joint. So this is the UJ. This is a tendon style. There's the clear one. You can see it's kind of hidden in here, and that's what the tendon looks like with Aeron. With Chinook, it's going to be a black tendon. So this is an example of the joint. It connects into this fitting here. It is black, has holes in it. Most popular is the rubber joint, like what we show here in this mast base that's attached to the board. Rubber UJ. You can buy this as a kit that comes with all the webbing to secure it that's a safety leash in case your rubber fails, or some people just like to buy the rubber joint by itself if everything is still intact on their safety leash. And then you have the mechanical joint. So this middle joint here you can buy as a Euro, or basically the mechanical type of a joint from Chinook. 3 types: tendons, rubber U-joint, mechanical U-joint. How you attach the mast base to the board on a single bolt is you take your T-nut here, position it at the near end of the base, the 1 bolt. You're going to insert it down into the channel, the wide point of your mast box. Just make it loose enough so you can slide it and it's still attached. You affix it to your to the board. I typically recommend people, when starting off, always put their mast base in the middle of the mast box. Once there, you're going to spin the base down as tight as you can to squeeze it onto the board. The tighter it is, the less chance of it ever moving on you under any load. Once you've got it tight, now it's affixed to your board, it's solid, and it's ready to be for your rig to attach. In this case, I have a Euro pin, so pretend we have the rig. I'll put the Euro pin mast extension, line it up like so, push down and depress the lever, and it's locked in place. To release, depress, remove. When you're done with your session, you simply twist this out. You want to remove it from your board if you're transporting. Loosen it up all the way, slide it out. I typically spin my T-nut on there so it's not going anyplace, and you're all set. 1 bolt base attachment. The other style is a 2-bolt system that you'll find out there. 2-bolt will have an extra detachment point. And so for some people, if they have multiple boards, they buy a bunch of these adapter or the 2-bolt base plates. They loosen it up, attach it to the board. So once again, we're going to do the same thing. Loosen it up. In some cases, you might have to remove a T-nut. Get these as loose as you can. Press it down. You slide it in like so. Slide it forward. Drop the other T-nut into the hole. With Chinook's system, they have an Allen key located on the bottom of the spindle. The bolts on the Chinook 2-bolt are Allen wrench styles or Allen heads, and you just basically take your base, secure it, twist it down as tight as you can. Same thing at the other end. And you're ready to go. You just simply, this has a little sliding clip retention. Put your base in, lock it in place, and then when your sail is rigged, you're simply going to connect it, slide it on. With the Chinook, you can typically just push it down and it locks, and you see the pins popping out on both sides. And to remove it, you squeeze, kind of a trigger release, squeeze them tight and pull it out. US cup extension, 2-bolt base. Last, we have a mast track pin system. This, instead of having the 1 bolt or 2-bolt on the bottom, is a machined stainless pin with a channel. This is designed for older boards primarily, or race-oriented boards that have what's called a sliding mast track feature. The Euro pin would fit down into a mast track and lock in place. These are specific to brand, so they might look like something that fits in your board, but please call us if you have any questions about availability and what will work for your board. This RSX is for an Olympic class board. It has a collar that you could remove that helps the spacing fit in certain older model Mistral mast tracks in particular, but also works with the modern RSX and race boards that are available these days. This is the RSX Euro pin system. The Euro pins can take different looks. Here you have a channel. Here it's kind of like cut out. This one has 2 channels on it. They basically are all the same. They just have a little different way of how they manufacture them for fitting in modern Euro pin mast extensions, but they all connect in and lock just fine. For any additional questions you might have about bases, retrofitting older base parts to new ones, feel free to give us a call. or contact us at info@isthmussailboards.com. We'll be happy to help you.